Okay, well, thank you all for coming today. I'm Mike Zeller. I'm the Assistant Director at the Shrewsbury Public Library, and I would like to welcome you all to today's program, Understanding Your Cat. Just a little bit of housekeeping from the get-go. Because of the pandemic, unfortunately, we have had to move all of our programs virtual. So if you're interested in attending, just check out our calendar. We've got a whole list of upcoming events. Also, you'll be getting a survey the day after this program. If you could take, it's just a couple of questions. If you could take a minute or two just to fill that out, that's super helpful for us. It helps us plan all of our future programming. So that being said, I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Rachel Geller to get our program started today. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Geller.
Thank you so much for having me, Shrewsbury Public Library. It's great to be here. And as Michael said, I am a certified cat behaviorist, and it's not your ordinary everyday profession. So I have found that as a cat behaviorist, I am often asked, why do you spend so much time helping cats? Why don't you maybe devote your time to helping people? But the truth is, when you help cats, you are also always helping people. Now, people tend to assume that if a cat has a behavior problem, that problem must be with the cat. Most of the time, this simply is not true. Most of these cats are really not difficult, and many of them really don't have behavior problems at all. The fact is, many times their humans have problems, and this creates problems for the cats. Whenever a human being has a serious problem, such as illness, bereavement, job loss, divorce, a pandemic, you will often find a cat suffering at the other end of it. So I have learned that you really never help a cat without also helping a person. Now, don't get me wrong. I help a lot of people whose cats just won't use that litter box. Cats who scratch on everything except for that lovely scratching post that you brought home for her. And what should you do when you bring home Fluffy as a companion for Puffy? And as it turns out, Puffy didn't want a new brother or sister all that much. But I also help people in distress. For example, just recently, a woman contacted me to say she would have to surrender her cat. In fact, she started off the entire conversation by telling me she was sure that there was nothing I could possibly do to help. You see, she had cancer and several small children. She was terrified, exhausted, and completely overwhelmed. Amidst all of this, as if that wasn't enough, she had an older cat, and she was feeling bad because she felt like she couldn't give the cat enough attention. She felt like the level of attention she was giving to the cat, definitely wasn't what it was before she had cancer. This woman and I talked for a very long time. Actually, I did most of the listening and she did most of the talking, and that's okay. I listened to her describe her situation. Eventually, I said to her, your children are stressed because you're sick, but they are going to feel even more stressed if they lose the family cat at the same time. I also reminded her that cats are fundamentally loyal, caring, and incredibly perceptive animals, something I'm sure a lot of you guys already know. So if her cat didn't get the same amount of attention for a period of time because she was getting treated for cancer, well, that cat was part of the family. And that's what families do, and that's okay. I explained to her that the cat would surely prefer to give up some attention temporarily rather than to be separated from her family permanently. Sometimes people just need to be reassured. By then, the woman was crying. She said to me, do you really think it would be okay for me to keep my cat? So what I learned in this situation was that the woman really didn't want to give up her cat at all. She wanted to do the right thing. She just wasn't sure what that was. So in the end, she kept her cat, and I promised my help, guidance, and support through this process. And this pretty much sums up what I do every day of my life. I work to solve cat behavior problems so people do not have to sacrifice the cats who they love. Now, I do a lot of cat behavior consults. Every year I actually do between 900 and 1,000 cases, and I do them all completely free of charge. It's my personal mission in life that I never wanted to be a financial barrier preventing people from keeping their cats in their homes when the issue is a behavioral one. The most common reason for cats to be surrendered to shelters is due to what people think are inappropriate cat behaviors. And so this is a really important thing to me. But when you work with that many people and that many cats, you start to notice some interesting things out there that people think. And I'd like to take this opportunity to maybe dispel some myths and to highlight what I see as some interesting patterns out there. So first, cats do not pee or poop out of the litter boxes out of revenge or spite. Oh, I hear tales of woe. She peed on my bed to teach me a lesson. She peed on my laundry because she was mad at me. She peed on my luggage because I went away on vacation. She peed on my shoes because she does not like my new boyfriend. Well, actually, maybe that one could be true. Cats are very good judges of character. But in all seriousness, I want everyone to know that cats do not pee inappropriately out of spite or revenge. Cats don't deliberately misbehave with their pee to teach us a lesson. If a cat is using her litter box, it's because the litter box has the right litter and location and size that meets the cat's needs. Cats want to use their litter boxes. They are fastidious and clean creatures. So if a cat is not using her litter box, it's not because she's trying to teach you a lesson. It's not out of spite. It's not out of revenge. It's because something or someone in her mind is preventing her from using that box. Now, I really do understand that it's easy to assign human qualities to cats because they really do share so many of our emotions, but spite and revenge are qualities we humans can proudly call our very own. Our cats just don't think that way. Second, you know that big basket of toys that you have sitting in your living room, and every once in a while you throw some out on the floor, or you have that big bucket of fuzzy mice that's sitting in the corner, and you say, okay, my cat's gonna play now, and you toss out those toys. So when I instruct people to play with their cats, I am not talking about just tossing some toys onto the floor. Throwing a bunch of solo toys onto the floor is not play. With solo toys, the cat has to be both the predator and the prey. And that is not going to be very realistic for your cat. So many times people say to me, oh, my cat doesn't play. My cat's too lazy. She doesn't play. My cat's fat. She doesn't play. My cat's older. She's past the playing stage. That's just really not how it works. The problem is most people do not take the time to properly trigger our cat's prey drive. And all cats have a prey drive. So don't play with your cat by throwing solo toys onto the floor. What you really want to do is use a fishing pole type toy. Now, when you use a fishing pole type toy, you can really manipulate the toy at the end of the string to mimic prey. So playing with your cat is supposed to simulate a hunt. So think about prey would act. It's not going to just lie on the living room floor for your cat to come and get it. So prey is going to sometimes be up high. Sometimes it'll be down low. Maybe it's going to hide behind something like the furniture. Maybe it's going to slither around on the floor. So the point is, use the fishing pole type toy to really mimic how prey would act. High, low, hiding, fast, slow, and so forth. Now, for your cat, the most important part of the game is the capture. So many people think that the point of the game is how long you can keep that toy away from the cat. I'll work with people, and as soon as the cat gets close to the toy, they yank it away. The truth is, you want to let your cat have multiple captures. Your cat will feel empowered and happy with the physical, tangible success that comes from watching, stalking, pouncing, and ultimately capturing. The capturing is the rewarding part for your cat. So get out that fishing pole type toy and stay with the game for a while. Intersperse the chasing and the pouncing with plenty of captures. Now, to make it a perfect play experience, we're going to finish the game with one last final capture, and then give your cat a little treat immediately after that final capture. So again, think about mimicking prey. The prey is getting tired. The prey is getting injured. The prey dies. And now the cat can eat his prey. So cats expect to catch and kill after a hunt. So it's really important to simulate that when you're playing with your cat. Mimic the prey dying and then give a little bit of food. It could be a portion of the cat's regular meal. It can be a treat. It could be anything your cat thinks is super duper yummy. When you follow the capture with a treat, your cat's brain now releases all of those feel-good chemicals, and your cat's going to feel like queen of her territory or a king of his castle. And this is how we want our cats to feel after play. Successful, happy hunters. That is going to really be what makes your cat happy. And that's how you play with your cat. So on that note, let's go on to my myth number 2, which is laser pointers. I really wish pet supply stores did not sell laser pointers as toys. They were developed to be used for PowerPoint presentations in the office, and that is where they should stay. Laser pointers are actually the cause of so many behavior problems in cats. Think about it. Your poor cat is on this futile chase, pointlessly trying to catch that little red dot that can never be captured. And remember, the captures are the important part. Certain of a sure catch, your cat pounces, only to find there's nothing there. There's nothing between his paws. There's nothing between his teeth. It's a very frustrating thing for a cat. Laser pointers cause frustration and anxiety in cats, the exact opposite of what we are trying to accomplish when we play with our cats. Interestingly enough, laser pointers can also cause problems between companion cats. So a cat who is teased with a laser pointer is going to try to get that feeling of a capture somewhere else. So he may take this out on a companion cat. And if one cat, pounces and ambushes and jumps on another cat to get a capture, well, that may not be so acceptable to the other cat. So remember, cats do expect a catch and kill after play. So a cat who is teased with a laser pointer will try to attack, bite, or scratch a companion cat or even the humans in the household. Many times when people tell me that their cats are biting or scratching or acting inappropriately, I'll find out that A, they're really not playing with their cats properly, with that final capture and food, or B, they are using a laser pointer. Laser pointers cause confusion because your cat chases the dot, but can never catch the dot. So this, constant frustration and confusion is really hard for a cat because they are natural born hunters. It's an unwinnable game for your cat. And cats who are only played with using laser pointers will redirect their anxiety and frustration in ways that are typically viewed by us humans as aggressive and destructive. But it's not really the cat's fault. So play smart, play safe, and play in a way that satisfies your cat's natural hunting muscles, and use a fishing pole type toy. Okay, my last big myth that I see all the time in the work that I do is covered litter boxes. So I want everyone to know that cats do not want privacy when they use their litter boxes. Now, covered litter boxes from a human perspective may provide privacy, but we are placing a human need onto our cats. Cats actually want the exact opposite. Now, I know we want privacy when we use the bathroom, but our cats do not want privacy. In fact, our cats want a full, clear, visual field all the way around them when they are in that box. Cats feel very vulnerable when they are in their litter boxes. The peeing position and the pooping position are vulnerable positions for your cat. So when your cat goes into that box, she wants a clear visual field. She wants to be able to see all the way around her. She wants to be able to have ample visual warning time if there are any invaders or opponents in the area. And these invaders or opponents can be real or imagined. It's a cat's instinct. So even an only cat in the household who never goes outside is going to have this feeling that she's going to want a clear visual field when she is in that box. So a covered litter box completely reduces your cat's clear visual field around the box. And it's really important. Your cat wants to know she can escape should an opponent appear. Now with a covered box, your cat can't see around her, and worse, should there be an invader, her only means of escape is right into that invader space. So that's not very reassuring to your cat. So many times when I am working with clients whose cats are not using the litter box, I will find out that a covered box is the culprit. And it's well-meaning. People think, a covered box will give their cat a little privacy, but I have a neighbor who lets her cat outdoors, and that cat will poop on the front lawn with a trail of cars going by. Privacy is not a cat's need. So how did I get here? How did I make a profession of talking about pee and poop and scratching and cat fights and so forth? So I'm going to do what a lot of people do, when maybe their lives don't turn out exactly how they thought they might. And I'm going to go ahead and blame my parents. My parents' views on pets, cats or otherwise, could not have been more different. My dad grew up in Dorchester, Massachusetts, and he grew up in a small, crowded apartment that his immediate family shared with his extended family. Now, this apartment did not allow pets, but it didn't matter. There wasn't any room. There were a lot of people squeezed into a small space, and my dad's family was very poor. They were barely able to feed themselves. On the other hand, my mother grew up in a single family home where there was lots of room and there was a big yard, and pets were cherished family members and their cats were beloved companions in the family. Later in their marriage, my parents were forced to strike a bit of a compromise about pets in our home when their firstborn, me, seemed to have discovered an endless parade of cats in our neighborhood who really needed me and who somehow ended up in our home. But with all of these cats came lessons and responsibility. And I can remember this as if it happened yesterday. I was sitting at the breakfast table and in the kitchen, and I was eating my breakfast, and my dad came walking down the stairs and saw me eating breakfast, and he said, "Rachel, have you fed your cats yet?" And I said, "Oh, Dad, as soon as I finish breakfast, I promise I'm going to feed my cats." And my dad made me stop. And he said, "No, you need to feed those cats first. You need to feed the cats before you feed yourself. Those cats are dependent on you. You are their caregiver. They are vulnerable, and you need to take care of their needs before you meet your needs. And that's your responsibility if you want to have pets. And that lesson really stayed with me. And to this very day, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I feed my cats and clean their litter boxes and refill their water and take care of them before I do anything for myself. I deeply loved all of these cats and mourned their loss when one died. And at some point, I remember as a little girl, I began to memorize the names and the faces of all of the cats who had lived, loved, and then died at our house. One day I asked my dad if all of those cats would meet me in heaven and whether they would recognize me and I them. He assured me that they would. He told me that the cats would remember me and that I would remember them forever. Thinking back, the lesson I learned wasn't so much about my particular cats per se, but it was about my father's assurances that relationships with our cats last, that our relationships with our companion animals have meaning, that our relationships with our cats are enduring, that they are important. And to me, growing up, it meant that they are worth saving. My name is Rachel Geller. I'm a certified cat behaviorist. Thank you for having me today, and I'm ready to take all of your cat behavior questions now. Thank you.
So if anybody has questions for Dr. Geller, you can feel free to unmute yourself and just kind of one at a time ask your questions.
How do you suggest when you have two cats playing with just one of them at a time to focus on them? Like that's the main thing is like, I know to play, but they come and they like tackle each other out and they like fight with each other. Is that acceptable or should I be trying to focus on them one-on-one still?
So you can do that in a few ways. If you're using a fishing pole type toy, you can even have like, a fishing pole type toy in each hand so that you can sort of manipulate that and keep, one cat away from another. I do that all the time. Sometimes even take like a really long string and hold it like, so my arms are sort of separated and I have one cat here and one cat there. So you can use any type, like a ribbon of fleece, two fishing pole type toys, things like that. The other thing you can do is if you're using a fishing pole type toy, you can distract one cat while playing with another. Crinkly mylar balls are great to distract, a cat from a different target. The types of balls that if you shake them, they make a noise are a great way to distract a cat as well. Or the other option is something called puzzle feeders. And these are toys that need to be manipulated or rolled, or, the cat has to figure out some type of a challenge, and then the toy will dole out a little bit of food. So all of those types of things are great little tips and techniques to try to play with, two cats at the same time. But if they're not being aggressive, it's okay that they play together too. There's a different play aggression is okay. As long as they're not, their ears aren't rolled back and down, they don't look like they're getting ready for battle. As long as they're having fun, it's okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's like some folks are using the hand raise feature. So I don't know if you've got the participants menu open, you could pick which people you want to address next. And there's a few in the comments in the chat too.
I have a question on why do you think my cat likes to drink out of the faucet? And
yeah, go ahead.
The question about the faucet, and then because we do also have one of those electric water fountains also for them.
Uh-huh. So a lot of cats like that movement when they can see the water falling down. If it doesn't bother you, it's completely normal cat behavior. It doesn't mean that she's doing anything wrong. Cats like to see that falling movement of the water. It's an instinct in a cat. They know that way the water is fresh, it's moving. So it's enticing to a cat. when the water is, moving downward like that, it's a clear visual to a cat that the water is fresh, much if they were outside and there was a creek and the water was moving downward, it signals to a cat that's fresh water. Okay, so I see hands up. Caroline D, if you want to unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm at work, so my question is in the comments.
Oh, Mike, can you read that to me?
Yeah. I put tinfoil on the couch, but she was more interested in the couch after I did that and has continued. My cat won't stop clawing the couch. She put tinfoil on it, but it's continued to shred. She has a shredding pole that she uses, but still prefers the couch.
Okay, so this is going to be, I'm going to give you the bullet point version, but if I don't answer your question, feel free to reach out to my website, drrachelcatbehavior.com, submit your question, and I will answer and work with you completely free of charge. But here's the bullet point version. The first thing I want you to do is look at your scratching post and make sure that it's an appropriate post for your cat, because most people I find don't have the right post. So the first thing is the post needs to be at least 3 feet tall. If it's too short, your cat doesn't want to have to hunch over to use a scratching post. So if it's not at least 3 feet tall, the cat is not going to use it. So the height of the post is a major factor in whether or not the post gets used. I know a lot of pet supply stores sell those little short posts. They are completely useless from a cat's perspective. They want to get a full stretch when they use their post. The other thing I want you to look at is what is the post covered with. If it's not covered with either rope or sisal, again, the cat will not use the post. Carpet covered posts are, again, completely useless from your cat's perspective because carpet won't do the job, and worse, their claws tend to get entangled in those little carpet loops. So look at the height of your post and look at what it's covered with. Last, make sure your post is really super duper sturdy. So think about what a cat would use if the cat was outside. Your cat would most likely be scratching on a tree trunk. And that's why cats tend to go after furniture that's really sturdy and it doesn't move. So if the post is at all wobbly or it's not, it's not super sturdy, the cat feels like it could fall, your cat's not going to use that post. So really look carefully at your post in terms of height, weight, and texture. Okay, so next, what we want to do is deter and redirect at the same time. So the post needs to be right next to the area where the cat is currently scratching. So a lot of people put their posts elsewhere. They want to tuck them in a remote corner. They don't want the post in their living room. But the truth is, if your cat has to, pack up a picnic lunch to go looking for her post, she's going to resort to scratching on whatever is nearby. So what I want you to do is place the new great scratching post that you have based on, what I just told you makes a good scratching post, and put that right next to the area where your cat is currently scratching. Now, to deter, cats don't like materials that are slick or sticky. So rather than tin foil, I would suggest something like double-sided tape, or there's a product called X-Mat that deters cats, a carpet runner with the nubby side up, anything like that. In general, think slick or sticky, and use those for deterrence on your couch. So now, your cat's going to walk up to scratch the area she likes to scratch. And now it's going to be completely unenticing and unscratchable. Aha, but look what we have right here. Here is the perfect scratching post. So that's kind of how you want to set it up for it to happen with your cat. The other thing you can do is place the scratching post on its side and run a fishing pole type toy enticingly along that post and get your cat to, go after the toy and sink her claws into the post. So she learns how wonderful that texture and material feels on her claws. So that's the bullet point version to answer your question. If you need more, please reach out to my website, drrachelcatbehavior.com. But like I said, that's the Cliff Note version.
Hi, I have a question about my cat. I'm concerned that she's not drinking enough water. And when I fill the bowl too much, she tips the bowl over. So now I put very little water in it and I have a towel underneath it, but still sometimes she will do that. So I thought about getting one of those fountains that a previous respondent had mentioned, but she's also fascinated with any kind of cord from a lamp or anything else. What can I do to, make her drink more water? I don't want her to have problems with her kidneys because she's not drinking enough water. I mean, I don't know how much she should be drinking, but I just don't think it's enough.
Okay, so a really easy way to get her to drink more water is put like a little bit of water in her wet food, just enough to, you don't want to make it super soupy, but you can add a
She's-
little bit of water to her wet food so it just gets absorbed when she's eating her wet food. So that could be one way to make sure she gets enough water. The other thing is maybe put it out in a few different locations. Some cats find it more interesting and enticing to have to go on a hunt to look for their water, sometimes even their food too, because it's more realistic for them rather than having it in one spot. So try adding a little wet food to the cat's, a little water to the cat's wet food, and maybe put a few bowls about your home. So she has to go on an interesting journey, to find her water, and that feels more natural to her. For the cord problem, what I would suggest is coating those cords with a bitter anti-chew product. And they make these specifically for cats. You can get them at any pet supply stores or online, like at, Amazon or Chewy. But coat the cords with a bitter anti-chew product. So when she goes to chew the cord on her own, the great thing about this method is you don't have to be there. You don't have to reprimand her. You don't have to yell at the cat. The cat will go to chew as she normally does and come to the conclusion on her own that these cords are no longer tasty or enticing. So coat them with a bitter anti-chew product and be consistent, and eventually that habit will break.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Janet S., I think, has her hand up.
Hi,
Hi.
my cats chew on artificial plants in my house. I'm not good at growing real plants, so I have artificial plants. And they all look like they have insect bites in them from the teeth marks. But I have one cat that has destroyed a nice little potted artificial ivy plant. And all the little holly leaves that were around the candles in my window. She just loves these plants.
So there's a couple things you could do. Like I just said to the previous person, there are bitter anti-chew products that you can put, on the plants or around that area, and that will make her not want to chew those plants, because eventually she's going to say, oh, this just isn't a delightful thing to chew anymore. It tastes really yucky. The other thing is there's a product called Sticky Paws that's specifically made for that plant problem. You could just put them in the soil around the plant, and when she goes to, chew on the plant or bite the plant, her paws are going to feel sticky and she's not going to like that. But the other thing I would suggest to you is to provide your cat with an appealing alternative. So there are products called cat grass, which are, plants specifically made for cats to chew on. So I would say in your case, maybe provide some of those cat grass plants for your cat so your cats can chew on something appropriately, enjoy it, get that feeling, and not be ruining your fake plants that you have in the household.
And I have a comment about the water.
Yes, comment away.
I have a cat that she would move her water dish around the floor. And I had the food bowl and the water dish on one of those like plastic cat placemats with a little rim. And she would consistently tip the water dish over, or she would, slide it around. So I finally bought one of those feeders, the kind that you can put legs on them. They have a space for 2 removable bowls, so you can have a water bowl and a food bowl. and they're in a block that she can't move. I didn't extend the legs. I don't want it to be high, but she can't get the water dish out of it. So she'll sit next to it and she'll like play with her feet in the water. But I never understood why she wanted to move that water dish around.
Yeah, the cats like that, to see movement in the water. It's, you know, it's an instinct in many cats. It just makes them feel like the water is fresh and the water is safe. I mean, cats in general have a very strong survival instinct. So, you know, those types of things ensure to a cat that the water is fresh and the water is safe and the water is okay to drink. Now, not every cat has this, you know, strong survival instinct, just like people, right? We're all different. If I drop a piece of food on the floor in my house, I won't eat it because I don't want to get sick. But my husband, he can drop something on the floor and he'll pick it up and eat it. So we both have very different survival instincts, and our cats are the same way.
Right. Well, she was a feral cat. Well, I didn't know she was a feral cat when I adopted her. And I next month I will have had her 9 years, and I still have not been able to touch her. She's very friendly with me. She will, you know, she'll sit on the bed next to me. She'll sit, you know, she'll sit next to me if I'm in a room. But she's lives in an area of the house that's separate from my other cats. She's, you know, seems very content by herself. She's extremely loud and wants to snap at me if I'm not paying enough attention to her, but try to get closer to her than like 6 inches or a foot, and she's like gone.
Yeah, so if you want to reach out to my website, and I'm happy to provide you with some ways to socialize and desensitize a cat to your presence and to touch. That's something I can help you with as well.
Yeah, well, we've been working on that. A lot of progress has been made. Very so. I figure in another 9 years, she'll be a normal cat. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Michael, am I missing anybody in the chat?
Yeah, I think Cindy has been waiting for a little while with her hand up,
Okay.
and then there's about 10 or 15 questions in the chat that we
So
should
let's
probably
go to
go through.
Cindy, and then if you want to shoot me the chat ones, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so my grandma has a cat who is very energetic at night and likes to scratch things, and she's very like picky. If someone were to come up, she were to kind of attack them almost like she was provoked.
Okay, so let's work on the nighttime problem first. So is the cat waking her up at night? Is that what's happening?
No.
What's exactly happening at night?
It's like when we're all watching TV and she's like, she comes out and she's kind of like, I don't know, stalking and scratching everything.
Okay.
Too much energy at night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I want you to do starting today, is I want you to get onto a schedule of what I call interactive play therapy. Now, I talked about that a little bit at the beginning, but cats who are stalking humans or ambushing humans, or, you know, they see the ankles move and they go after the human's ankles or anything like that. These are cats who need their prey drive satisfied. They're not getting enough opportunities to hunt and stalk in an appropriate way. So they're going to try to satisfy that need in a way that may not be acceptable to us, such as ambushing us. So what I would like you to do is really think about doing a robust interactive play session with a fishing pole type toy. So, you know, get a fishing pole type toy that has a nice long wand. So there's a good distance between, you know, your skin and your flesh and the cat's teeth. So if the cat gets overly rambunctious, you'll be safe. And again, really think about simulating a hunt. Be realistic with that prey at the end. You know, like I was saying before, sometimes you're up high, sometimes you're low, hide behind furniture, slither around things. You know, don't dangle the toy right in front of the cat's face. There is no prey that's going to do that, and that's not going to be realistic to the cat. So think of simulating a hunt, and during the hunting session, I want you to provide multiple captures for your cat. So let the cat get the toy during the session. And when the toy stops moving, the cat will release his grip and you can start up the game again. And do this for like 10 or 15 minutes. And at the end of the game, at the end of 15 minutes, I don't want you to say, oh, will you look at the time? 15 minutes is up. No, I want you to start winding the game down slowly. Let the cat have one final capture and follow this immediately with food. Now, when you do it this way, when you do the wind down, final capture, and then food, you tap into your cat's natural hunt, eat, relax, or nap cycle. And that's what you want to do. So by doing these sessions consistently and by ending with food, you're calming your cat down rather than leaving the cat revved up. So I want you to get going with these sessions as soon as you can. You will notice a big difference in your cat. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but be consistent and think of it as wiping the slate clean. Or when to create, a new way for your cat to satisfy his natural hunting muscles. Now, the other thing I want you to do is think about the distraction and redirection method, as I call it. So you're going to get onto your play sessions, but there may be times where your cat comes and goes to scratch or bite or attack or whatever it is that the cat is doing. When this happens, I want you to do something I call distract and redirect. You're going to distract your cat with a toy. It can be, I like something that makes noise, a crinkly Mylar ball, something you can shake and it makes a sound, something you can squeeze and it makes a sound, and so forth. Distract your cat with a toy. And what happens now is you shift your cat out of that aggressive mode, which is negative, and into the positive mode of a hunter. All cats would rather go after the prey, and all cats would rather feel positive. So we're going to shift your cat out of that, negative mode of anxiety and aggressiveness into the positive mode of a hunter. And then immediately go into a little impromptu interactive play session, exactly the way I described. Play with the cat, wind down the game, final capture food. You remain safe. Your cat gets to release his anxiety. Everybody wins.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think going back a ways, the first question in the chat is, or the one that we haven't gotten to yet is by Deb Siegert. My daughter's cat does everything he can to get my daughter to feed him extra, e.g. chewing on outlets, geez, electrical cords, etc. Makes it hard to avoid overfeeding him to get him to stop. Any pointers?
Yes, so I have a few tricks for food obsessed cats. My first one is a product called Bonito Flakes, and that's spelled Bonito. So Bonito Flakes are basically dried fish. It's all natural. It's extremely low in calories, like 2 calories for a big portion. But the main thing with Bonito Flakes is if you add a little bit of water to them, it seems and feels like real food to the cat. But it's something you can give to the cat really as often as he wants to make him think that he's getting the food that he wants without really overfeeding your cat. So my first suggestion is for food obsessed cats is Bonito Flakes. You can add a little water to them and leave them out for your cat to eat it and sip it as he sees fit. And this is a really great little trick, like I said, to let cats who are really fixated on food feel like they're getting the food that they want without really giving them the food that they want. You can also use broth and things like that, but I find Bonito Flakes is the most effective because it really does smell like real food, but it's extremely low in calories, and it's also extremely high in nutritious value for a cat too. So that's a good thing to try. If he's chewing on the cords and the outlets, I mentioned this already, but a bitter anti-chew product will really help with that problem as well. The thing too with the Bonito Flakes is it helps to leave it out all the time because that way the cat doesn't equate, the begging with you giving him food. You kind of want to separate that a little bit. So leave that Bonito Flakes out all the time for your cat. So he's not only associating you and the begging and the food all together.
Okay, the next question from Ricardo. I think you've kind of answered this already, but I'll ask again. My cat likes to chase me around the house and tackles my leg, makes me trip a little. Sometimes she bites me gently. What does this mean?
Yes, so I did address this a little bit, but yes, if your cat's only form of stimulation and hunting opportunities in her life is your ankles moving as they go by, she's going to go after your ankles. So this is definitely a cat who's not getting enough opportunities to hunt and capture appropriately. It's a common problem. Like I said in my opening remarks, a lot of people think throwing some fuzzy mice on the floor is play, but you really need to take the time to play with your cat with a fishing pole type toy, provide those multiple captures, and teach your cat that she will get acceptable opportunities every day to hunt and stalk. So she won't go after your ankles when you're walking by. And you can also provide your cat with interactive activity toys. I mentioned before puzzle feeders. So I understand, we all can't play with our cats 24/7. So puzzle feeders are a great way for your cat to get that opportunity to hunt and stalk and then get the food. So the food gets doled out, when the cat has accomplished some task or manipulated the toy in a certain way. So it does replicate a little bit, a hunt and then a capture. So get on that schedule of interactive play with a fishing pole type toy. Twice a day, about 15 minutes each session would be ideal, and provide your cats with some interactive activity toys. And you could distract and redirect, as I talked about before, and you will definitely solve this problem.
Okay, next, Eastland Bates asks, how many cats do you have?
I have 2 cats. I would have more, but I have a husband who has asthma, and he seems to have this ridiculous idea that he needs to be able to breathe. I keep telling him that breathing is highly overrated, but so far it hasn't really worked out so well. But I have 2 cats. They are both rescues. They were both the cats that nobody else wanted. They were pretty ornery. One was abused, and so she was pretty fractious towards human beings. She's a lovey-dovey now. And the other one was tossed into a dumpster, so he didn't love people too much either. But he's also a very sweet little boy now. But luckily I get to work with so many cats in the field that I'm in, and I'm always in shelters, and I'm always helping people with cats. So I get to satisfy that need to, be completely surrounded by cats all the time. But thanks for asking.
I think the other questions were all asked by people verbally. So next, Deb C asks, with an older male cat and a bit younger female cat, how much play fighting is too stressful for the female? She will quickly try to get away.
Yeah, I mean, the play fighting between cats, it's very individual between the cats, and some cats like it more than others. If it crosses that line and it's no longer play, if you see the cat's ears back and down, that means that the cat is like not looking at it as play. She's looking at this as a battle. If the cat's tails are really twitching and lashing back and forth quickly, that's another sign that it's not really play. And if the cat is running away and doesn't want to be in the play session, that's probably a pretty good indicator that that's no longer play for that particular cat. For the cat who's instigating the play, initiating the play sessions, you can always distract and redirect, as I already described. Move that cat away from the other cat who's his target, and launch into a little play session with that cat. Just like people, cats have different needs in terms of exercise, or different wants in terms of exercise and play. So sometimes you do have different levels in the household, but I would say, use some of the techniques I described to redirect that cat who has a higher energy level and a greater need to play away from the targeted cat, so that cat doesn't feel like she's being, intimidated or bullied.
Okay, Catherine asks, I have a well-cleaned, uncovered litter box, and our 13-year-old cat sometimes leaves poo on our beds or next to our bed. The cat will also attack my 5-year-old when she walks by and will swipe at her. Any tips on getting the cat to stop?
So the swiping, again, go back to the providing the cat with the interactive play sessions and the distraction and redirection that I talked about already. And if you want me to, write that out for you, feel free to go to my website and I can put that all in writing so you have a program to follow. But, there's kind of a myth out there that I think because we use the word play. So a lot of people think about play in terms of like humans with play. So like little kids play, but when we grow up, we really don't play anymore the same way. But play is supposed to simulate a hunt. And all cats hunt to get their food. A cat who lives outside doesn't stop hunting to eat when she turns 13. She's going to hunt to eat for the length of her lifetime. So even an older cat needs those opportunities to play. It's very important. So if the cat is, going after your child as the child walks by, that's because it's something stimulating and it's movement and your cat is really looking for that. That's a sign that your cat needs some movement and some stimulation in her life. For the pooping outside of the box, the first thing I would say is really, sometimes I used to say to people, try adding another box. So there are some cats who will not pee and poop in the same box. So sometimes adding one more box will solve that problem, because if there's pee in the box, the cat may not want to poop in the box. The other thing is to really look, and that's great that your boxes are uncovered. That's the way to go, is an uncovered box. But sometimes if the box is next to a wall, like if it's flush against a wall, the cat will perceive that wall as blocking her visual field. Is the box under a desk? Is it behind a toilet? Is there a piece of furniture blocking the cat's view? So really do a real estate reality check and look at it from your cat's perspective, that there really is a clear visual field, because especially with intermittent pooping outside of the box, I find it's usually like a situation where for some reason the cat's feeling unsafe at the moment and doesn't want to go into the box.
Okay, Deb Siegert asks, our cats wake us up super early. By early, I mean 4:30 in the morning, by meowing loudly and not stopping until we feed them. Do you think we can retrain them to sleep a little later?
I do. So I talked a lot about, interactive play therapy. You can use that for that feline alarm clock problem too. What you can do is play with your cats like the last thing you do before you go to bed. And I don't mean like an hour before you go to bed. I mean like one of the last things you do before you get into bed for the night. Because as I said, when you conduct a robust interactive play session, and you end that with a final capture and food, you put your cat into her natural hunt, eat, sleep cycle. So you can use that to make her sleep longer on the other end. The other thing you can do is before you go to bed, put out puzzle feeders onto the floor. So this way, if your cat wakes up before you, she can hunt and capture and then eat without you being present. So I would try those two methods in conjunction with each other. Interactive play right before you go to bed, wind down, final capture food, get your cat into that sleep cycle. That'll help push that sleep cycle, forward longer, and then provide hunting and eating activities for your cat to do without you, and that'll put her back into that sleep cycle.
Okay, Catherine asks, cat throwing up lots of hairballs. Any idea why?
If your cat has long hair, it's just something that's, kind of unavoidable in many long-haired cats. There are cat food brands that are specifically formulated for that problem. A brand that I have used and I can recommend is Royal Canin. Royal, just how it sounds, Royal, Canin, Canin. They make some terrific hairball control foods that really help. So, you can try that. And if your cat tolerates regular brushing, that's a great way to get out the excess fur and the loose fur that would normally come out when the cat is cleaning herself. And, when the cat cleans herself, and the less fur that she's ingesting, the less chance you have of her coughing up a hairball.
Okay. Nagla El Shami asks, my 11-year-old female cat growls and hisses at my newly adopted male kitten. She hasn't attacked him, but she gets upset when he tries to get close to her. He wants to play, but she hisses at him. Do you have any advice on how to help her calm down when she's around him?
So what I would suggest, and this is probably going to be too long for this, so I'm going to give you the bullet point version, but again, if you need more, reach out to me via my website. But I usually say the best course of action when you have a resident cat who doesn't love the newcomer is to do what I call a reintroduction. And what this means is we're going to kind of walk it back again, as if the cats have never met each other, put the newcomer back in his sanctuary room that he started out in, and add in elements bit by bit. So I would start off with, keep that cat in the sanctuary room, allow your resident cat to calm down. Cats are very territorial creatures, and your resident cat probably feels like her territory is up for grabs, and that's extremely stressful for a cat. So if we walk it back and let the cat kind of get used to the idea at her own pace and on her own terms, that will make a big difference in the cats tolerating each other. So I'd put the newcomer back in the sanctuary room, start off with some scent swapping, use socks, rub one cat, rub the other cat, put the socks in each other's cats' areas, do some soil swapping, exactly how it sounds, put a little soil litter from your newcomer's box into your resident cat's box and the other way around. Then I would move on to separate roaming sessions, put the resident cat in a different room, let the newcomer roam. When the newcomer's back in the sanctuary room, you can let out the resident cat. So let them do separate sessions with roaming and with scent depositing, so they get used to the idea of each other's scent and each other's presence without being, forced to confront each other yet. Then I would start off with some food and visualization, therapy, open the door just a crack, put the food on either side of the door and let them eat within a few feet of each other with the door just open a crack, and gradually open that door a little bit wider and move the bowls a little bit closer. When that's okay, I would then go to a baby gate phase, 2 baby gates, one on top of each other, and again, keep feeding the cats on either side of the door. And then when you think you're ready for the cats to be together, I would I would never go from 0 to 60 when it comes to cats. So rather than just saying, okay, we're ready to be a happy family, we're all together now, what I would suggest is starting off a little bit at a time. So let them have a togetherness session for 10 minutes. If that's going okay, the next day, 20 minutes. When that goes okay, the next day, 30 minutes and so forth. So what you want to do is really present the idea of the newcomer to your resident cat gradually and incrementally. And again, if you want more detail on that, let me know. But that was the bullet point version.
So it is 3:30 now. There's a lot of questions still left in the chat. I don't know if you want to wrap up or if you want to do a few more, whatever you're comfortable with.
I'm happy to help if there's, more people who need my help. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Next, Brian Courteau asks, our cat howls at night at our door when we go to bed. Should we just ignore her?
If you can, that would be the path of least resistance. But you can try a few things. It's very possible that there is an outdoor cat in your neighborhood that your cat is seeing. So see if you can find out maybe what window that is and make sure you close the blinds or put something that's not see-through over that window. The other thing you can do is there are products that are calming for cats and are like synthetic versions of a cat's own pheromones. 2 good brands are Feel Away or Comfort Zone. You can take a towel, spray it liberally with either Feel Away or Comfort Zone and put that towel on the floor in front of that door. And that would probably help as well. But, you know, if you can sleep through it, you're not doing any harm to your cat.
Anne Van Trun asks, our cat is obnoxious with trying to get us to pet her. She rubs on and follows our hands to have us pet her. She drools all over us, and she does it anytime we sit down.
I want to say, like, I'm not sure what the problem is there. I love it when my cats want my attention. You know, I mean, if she just wants loves, I mean, just like us, just like people, I guess. Some cats are more needy and more affectionate than others. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel like you can't give her enough attention, or she wants, you know, more time than you have, there are these products where the cat can rub herself. They make these little combs or products that will adhere to walls, or they're like U-shaped, and the cat can walk underneath them and walk against them, and it, you know, kind of be able to rub against it or get that feeling of being stroked or petted without you. So you might want to try one of those products. The cats can rub against them. The cats can feel like they're getting some attention and getting some petting. But, you know, if you don't mind, there's nothing wrong with giving your cat, you know, as much attention as she wants.
Okay, and there's a bunch, you might want to check the chat yourself at some point. There's a lot of people saying thank you and expressing gratitude. It looks like we've got one last question though from Jen Sylvester. How often should a cat go to the vet for a checkup? Is an at-home vet visit better than an in-person visit if my cat doesn't get into a carrier easily?
I think an at-home vet is a great alternative for people whose cats get super stressed out with, you know, the whole process of going to a vet. For a senior cat, I recommend, you know, a twice a year, you know, every 6 month vet visit, just because senior cats tend to have more illnesses, and, you know, just like people, and the earlier you catch things, the better. So I'll give one example, like, as cats get older, they're more prone to hyperthyroidism. And this is a very easily controlled disease that is not fatal as long as it's caught ahead of time. But if it gets out of control, it can really affect a cat's heart. So that's one example. But once a year for cats who were not senior cats is completely fine. Of course, if you see a problem happen before that, you know, definitely bring your cat to the vet. Again, if your cat gets really stressed out with vet visits, and you get stressed out putting your cat in the carrier, it's completely, you know, an at-home vet is a great alternative.
Okay, well, I think that was all of our questions. Oh, somebody did just ask, how do we get in touch with you? Do you want to post your website in the chat?
Yes, I can do that right now.
And you can email it to me too, and I can send it out to
Okay.
everybody tomorrow.
All right.
Monday.
Okay.
Right,
So
great.
drrachelcatbehavior.com is my website. There is a form there where you can submit. And as I said, I'll answer all questions received completely free of charge.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming today. And like I said, if you look in the chat, there are a lot of other people saying similar, expressing gratitude. Yeah, I've definitely learned a lot too. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was great. You know, thank you for hosting this. I have a bone deep love of cats. So any opportunity that I get to, you know, help people with cat behavior or just express my love of cats is a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon. So thank you.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. And thank all of you for attending. We'll see you at our next program, hopefully.
Thank you, everybody.